Good morning, everyone. Not bad coffee this morning. Hope this video finds you well. So today I'm not doing another vlog for the record, but this is when I have time now to do these kind of things. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. I had to deal with an asshole, as you do, first thing in the morning. It's a brisk morning. I think it's like 22 degrees outside. Here in Indiana, it is not fun. But we are making do. Now, what I came to talk about today is I've been on, and hopefully the audio sounds okay, I have been on a Vivaldi challenge. One of the reasons I did this was, well, I wanted something simple and easy to do that wouldn't cause me a bunch of headache. It did. We'll get to that later. But I wanted something easy that I could do with this whole return to office thing going on that is kind of draining my mental capacity for many things. I'm trying to do a little smaller videos where I can. So I apologize if my schedule is a bit erratic as a result. But I successfully used Vivaldi for 30 days, for a whole month. And my thoughts on it are a little mixed. So, largely, I didn't have an issue with it for the first, 15 days. I was actually quite happy with it. And in terms of a mobile browser, they doing something right. It's a very good mobile browser, very performant. Even compared to just regular Chrome. They clearly, I'm guessing it's the built-in tracker blockers and stuff, or the ad blockers, genuinely making a difference on mobile versus on desktop, where our computers are so powerful that, yeah, it probably does make a difference, but it's so minute that you wouldn't hardly notice. That's why I'm not really going to do performance benchmarking here. I mean, I could tell you that my original browser was Firefox. Actually, it was Internet Explorer. If we go back far enough, Internet Explorer is what I used until I used Firefox. And then I went to Chrome in college because, well, the university I went to just was too fucking lazy to program their, I guess it's the front end of the school system, to work with anything but Chrome. I'm not a web programmer. I couldn't tell you why. But they basically just refused. Whew. So as a result, only Chrome worked when you logged into the school system. And I had to do that for my classes. So I switched to Chrome around that time. And I think I pretty happily used Chrome probably up until a few years ago when all this AI shit took off. Where once the AI stuff started taking off, I just was like, I am not into this. I don't see it providing a useful service. And it's being crammed down my throat and I don't like it. Now, I will admit, Google has tapered off a little bit. I mean, they're still pushing AI. That's the hip thing right now. But I will admit, in terms of shoving it everywhere where the sun don't shine, I think they've done a better job than some companies named Microslop. Because, again, I have 2 Chromebooks, and while the feature is mentioned and it was pinned to my panel, it never got overly excessive. And yeah, there's AI summaries and stuff. I mean, it's still annoying. But they didn't push it beyond what I thought was very reasonable. So in the modern age, like I said, I switched back to using Firefox because it was competent enough of a browser. I could do everything I needed to do, and I didn't have any issues with it. I started noticing over the last year or so, there's been a lot of performance regressions in Firefox beyond their CEOs needing to snort cocaine before they send out a message that absolutely alienates the entire fan base. Yeah, I've kind of grown to the point where I'm having a hard time using Firefox, even though it's technically not a bad browser. It does basically everything even Vivaldi can do without, a lot of cruff. And I do hate that like half of the settings of the browser, push you down there, half the settings of the browser are just locked behind about.config that should just be, in a settings menu. And I hate that I've had to resort to doing a user JSON file to set half of those permissions reliably because it doesn't sync a lot of things in about config. But we can get into Vivaldi right now. We don't need to hate on Firefox. So my experience initially was very positive. I thought for a Chromium browser, it performed quite well. The fact that I had the option, I do wish there was an auto toggle, but the fact that I had an option to scale the user interface however big or small that I wanted is nice. I do wish it had an auto feature where it would detect, your 1080p at however many inches. Maybe I should scale this much. It's just a slider, and I do wish it was a little more finessed. I'd be okay with even plus and minus buttons, because who's going to scale their browser beyond a certain point? But hey, at least it's an option, right? That is probably one of the strongest arguments for Vivaldi that I've seen out in the wild, is pretty much everything the browser has to offer is exposed through GUI settings. Yeah, I appreciate having the option to have GUI opportunities. One of the reasons why I follow Linux Mint is not because I'm not a competent Linux user and that I need handheld. I don't need handheld. I'm just lazy and I want a GUI to be able to manipulate certain aspects of the operating system without having to go Google what the fuck this terminal command is, because my brain can't remember. And I have a lot of aliases in my bash RC that I could probably just do away with now because I just don't need them. And that's part of the thing. I like having an option. If you still want to leave the back end hard to access stuff to manipulate whatever, to be honest. And even the Firefox way of just, if there's a user.js file, override all the settings in the browser. You know what? I don't hate it. Gives people options. But I like to have that stuff in a GUI that I can toggle. Chrome is notoriously bad about this because basically nothing is in the Chrome settings. There's a lot of things in the Chrome settings, but there's a lot that just also isn't. It's the best way I can put it. Vivaldi gives you that option. Now, I will say Vivaldi has a little too much going on. I will try the email and RSS reader. Maybe it's cool. Why does my browser have an email client built into it? Just make that a standalone app. Just call it Vivaldi Mail. Make it standalone. People will use it. And I'm sure people do use the built-in email. Why would it exist otherwise? That's not me. I don't use a browser for everything. I did it one time, in all fairness. I did sit here and, especially back in college, my browser was literally everything. I didn't even install clients most of the time for apps. The only ones I had to, I would. And back then I used Steam Chat, so I would install Steam for that because the online chat experience was interesting. I dealt with it for a Chromebook. But there was stuff I needed, like Skype, that they worked better as a client than it did as anything else. Where things started going sideways for me is every browser, to some degree, offers some kind of account sync. Now, I know it's probably controversial. I am one of those people who likes account sync. Say what you will in the comments. I mostly just want it to have my bookmarks saved and be transferable to another computer. That's just largely because I have so many computers. I'm trying to get better at that, but even still, even if I had 4 computers, it would be annoying to make sure all my bookmarks are moved in between all 4 without regularly deleting all of them and importing them back in. It would be annoying. Well, about that. So I've used Firefox Sync for years and it works okay. I've never had any issues with it. And Google Chrome Sync, I've had it bug out, but it always seems to figure itself out. Brave, you might as well not offer the feature. It doesn't work correctly most of the time. And then we talk about Vivaldi, which my original reason to try Vivaldi again is I tried Vivaldi about a year ago. And on day 3, my Vivaldi account had a problem and corrupted itself. The entire profile, bookmarks, extensions, everything corrupted. And corrupted so bad that my account was basically back to square one like the day I set it up. I had to reinstall the browser. And then when I did get signed in, because it didn't want to let me in, when nothing pulled in, that left me with a pretty sour taste in my mouth. I have noticed over the last year that they have improved Vivaldi Sync, though I will comment whatever algorithm they use to determine what to sync doesn't sync half of Vivaldi's settings. It syncs a lot of those same ones that I'm guessing Chrome syncs, so they're probably using some variant on Chrome's ability to sync stuff. Like bookmarks seem to sync. If I did saved passwords, those would probably sync. I don't. Notes supposedly sync, just not with attachments. Again, I didn't really use Vivaldi Notes. I did try it. It's not really for me. But I already have a dedicated Notes app. I don't need my browser managing that. I saw times where I'd open the browser, I'd make a change to my bookmarks, I'd come back, I'd close it, and I'd come back like 5 or 10 minutes later and open the browser. And during that like 5 minutes where I had it open, apparently my account just didn't hook up. It was just spinning trying to sign in. So it's not like caching the sign in. It has to sign in every time. And on many occasions over the last month, Vivaldi would just sit there and spin. You just have no profile icon. Any changes you made or any history you had was just lost if you closed the browser before it figured it out. And a lot of times it just never figured it out. It'd just sit there and spin forever. So they've still got a lot of work to do in terms of the reliability of that browser sync, because that kind of behavior, I'm sorry, just doesn't cut it. You know, that ain't gonna cut it. It ain't gonna work. Now, I will say, otherwise, it has been a fairly smooth experience. I did have the tracker blockers break some stuff, as you do. The built-in ad blocker seems okay. On mobile, it could be better, but on desktop, it's okay. I did have a riff with the desktop Linux version. I've had a couple riffs with it. So one, I actually installed this at work because like most browsers you can install as like in the temp directory. And so I used it at work because I don't have admin rights at work. So I can't install software. But I can install a profile specific version that I can just fuss around with. It handles PDFs okay. I don't like the PDF editing tools. That is not necessarily a dig at Vivaldi. I will dig at Chrome for just not having very good PDF support. And it's not like the PDF doesn't open, it's just doing markups to the PDF is a problem. I'm an engineer, I mark up prints a lot. Well, Vivaldi's is like somehow worse, and the highlighting tools don't seem to work quite right. At least the Force a Dark mode on all pages does not force a PDF to be dark. It was actually something I got into with using Dark Reader, is I didn't have a great way to single out PDFs being pulled up in the browser, not just being black. And overall, the only hitch I had with it is you would open a PDF, or you'd open up a drawing, which would kick a browser window open to do a PDF. And for some reason, Vivaldi will just not do anything until you click it into focus. The tab will open, but then nothing happens. I don't know why. It doesn't happen in Google Chrome, doesn't happen in Microsoft Edge, which is what they want us to use. It's just a thing. No idea. I don't know how they changed that protocol, but it seems they have. It's a bit awkward. I won't be sticking with Vivaldi at work. That was just a total, I just wanted to see. But overall, the general browsing experience is fine. My password manager of choice, Bitwarden, worked fine. At work, I used KeePass XE with the KeePass XE browser extension. Worked fine. I didn't have any issues. I had to enable a plugin, which is typical, to allow a Microsoft account sign through. But other than that, it's a competent browser at doing browser things. I have my issues with it, and I think a lot of it rolls around. I don't use the more advanced Vivaldi features like tab stacking. I did find the groups feature where I could have a work profile and a personal profile. Worked very well. Vivaldi handles that very well. Firefox, I'm still waiting for that feature to actually be feature complete. And Chrome never really handled it super well. Again, I don't have a huge need at work to have a personal and private profile because I'm not doing personal shit on my work computer. What are my final thoughts? Because this video has gone on long enough. Well, I'd say Vivaldi is just okay. I had a pretty negative connotation. I think the big things for me, the takeaways, be prepared for the tracker blockers and ad blockers to break stuff. I heard Matt from LinuxCast was having YouTube failure to loads. I had some issues with sites not wanting to load. SourceForge just straight up blocked me for a while. I couldn't download like MX Linux and stuff to mess around with when I got my new iOD disk deal. I was trying to repopulate it with ISOs, and I just couldn't download from SourceForge. It just says, nope, make an exception. So that makes me question what they're tracking me on SourceForge with, but and I appreciate the customizability, but at the end of the day, I don't know that it's enough to swing me in terms of being my only browser. Now, the only other competitors in the space would have been Helium, which is just Chromium with some sane defaults, and Brave. And I don't know that I'll necessarily make a video on those. Brave I use to manage the channel. It's fine. I don't like the crypto stuff. And then Helium is just a Chromium with some stuff stapled to it. It's fine. Not stuff that I'm going to really get into too much. Maybe I'll do a video. Let me know down below if you want me to do a Brave video or a Helium video or whatever. For now, I'll go back to the browser I know, and we'll move on from there. I hope this video finds you well, and y'all have a great day.